This is going to be a short video on creating the butterfly pop-up platform card. It is going to be mostly a video on product selection and placement. This card comes to life with different types of background material. So the first one I have here is the happy birthday, which is one of the sentiments that comes with this kit. I used this paper, which is Graphics 45 Flutter, and from it I picked colors that were in the paper for my butterflies. And because it's from Graphic 45, you also have a beautiful background, which is what is used, as you can see, in the cover, because it peeks through the cutout of the butterfly. And so today I am going to be using another Graphics 45, which is from the Flowers and Gardens series, and it has a very dark background, which caused some problems when I started picking my colors. And so as you can see on my sample page that is sitting here, I have my cover stock, which I selected to go along with the insides of the card, this beautiful floral pattern. But when you go and look at it from the opposite side, you will have the problems that it is very dark where you do the platform fold. And so you need to pick colors that will show up. These colors are also represented within the pattern. So I picked pinks and I picked blues to match this, and I picked greens and yellows, and the golden is just a little bit of the gold in the background. The the cover has a hole of the butterfly that you will put on the cover, and what it actually does is it picks up the color from the background. And so in order to be able to see your butterfly veins, I picked a contrasting color to pick up so that you can see some of the variation in this card. As you can see, it's a diamond pattern, and the veins of the butterfly look very nicely with that. It also looks very nicely against the yellow. I'm using some very generic paper. It's double colored. It's some of my scrap paper to actually demonstrate how to assemble this platform card. It is the same principles as my other platform cards in creating the folds and folding them over and putting them together and attaching the cardstock. So I will do this very quickly. When I cut mine out, I have started using sketch pens to identify my score lines, because if you cut them with the dotted lines, it weakens the fold and they can eventually tear out. If you use a sketch pen and keep it at the same pressure as a cutting knife, it actually does give you a little bit of a indentation. You don't absolutely need to use your scoreboard, but I do just to give it a little extra pressure on it so that it'll fold nicely. And I'm doing this on all of my creases, and I'm just going to do it on the one side. If they're cut correctly, they are on the 1/8 inch. Now this is my inside piece, and I indicate that these are all valley folds. So you make those as valley folds. And then this last one is a mountain fold. And then when it curls over, because of all the valleys, it stands up nicely. So let's do the same thing on this. This is a mountain fold, valley, valley, valley. As you can see, we now have the makings of the card. And you can see right now how the having such a plain background does not give you the same dynamics as you have with a full color pattern in the background. All right, so now we have these all folded, and we need to put them into a cover. And the cover is actually larger than 10 inches. The card makes a 5x7 card. So if I was not going to have a book fold, it would be at 10. Again, I did not do the score lines with the dashed lines. That really weakens the spine. Instead, I know that I need to fold on 5 inches both sides. That way you get it nice and square. And again, I'm using some leftover paper. And this is a little bit thinner paper than the cardstock. I fold it, I roll the fold so that I get the book side. I also use my bone to give this a good crisp edge on both sides. Depending on your cardstock, you might want to turn this inside out and do the same so that you have a good fold so that it opens nicely. And as you can see, I'm using scrap paper again, but it gives it a nice box fold, and that helps with all the layers that are going inside. All right. So my pieces go inside. There's a little bit over 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, as you can see. And what I do is I just go ahead and tape those in just like that, lining them up so that they are across the top. It's not necessary that you put a lot of tape on this. I usually just do the side seams where I have the most wear, but you can put it all the way around, as Carlene did in the Christ Has Risen card. So let's pull this back. Take a little bit of the tape off on both sides. I do this because it makes it easier for me to line it up and then pull the tabs out. We talk about letting the pop-up actually find its natural fold. You could tape it down like this, but you run the risk of it buckling when you go inside. First, I'm going to make the TP fold at the top here. Okay, so we're going to find the natural fold on this by taking the card, making sure that the front edges line up. And don't push on your spine, but push where it's going to tape together. Just across the top. And you can see it makes a kind of a little teepee fold there. Make sure you press it down really good. Then to find the natural folds for the platform, I put tape across next to the spine and then some more tape off to the side on both of these pieces. So this, it's the spine going down the middle of the butterfly and the outside wing. And I'm going to do these one at a time so you can see how we're finding the natural folds. This all tucks in together. It folds over. And there it's found its natural spot. So when it closes, it should close flat. Same thing on this side. And there you have your card laid out. Your butterfly pulls through the colors from the back side of your platform, which is the same as what's going across the front. And what I have here is the third sentiment that I have in the kit, which is the Mother's Day. And I'm using, this is drywall flexible tape. It's the type of tape that you use to tape your seams. It comes in a big roll. It's very inexpensive. And I use it on my cardstock. You could also use the transfer tape that you use for vinyl. This doesn't stick as tight as the transfer tape does. But it's important to turn your cutting mat upside down and using your spatula, just slip it underneath and just kind of lift up, and then you can push it down so it sticks to that, to the tape. And you want to make sure that you're not bending and creasing your mat. The plastic on these mats can be very brittle. This is a Ni-Kappa mat, and you can see I have some spots where I have bent too hard when I take things off, and I have actually gone through a couple of these because they break. But you just want to lift so that you can put your spatula underneath there, slide them off, get them all down. This one has a little apostrophe for the S that I'm going to put on later, so I'll put it over here on my board. And then again, I am going to use the zig, and you need to do this rather quickly. Zig is really good for repositioning your pieces, but while it's wet, it becomes a permanent stick. So you need to keep this all wet in order to get a good placement. And so I generally go over it 2 times to make sure I've got enough glue on it, make sure it's coming out of the tip nicely. You can use your liquid glue if you want to with a tiny point. Now you need to pretend that you've already put on your butterflies when you do this. I want to make sure I get it the right way up. And designers do design their sentiments so that they fit on the template. So you need to work it through. And then just apply pressure to it and let it dry. And there's my little apostrophe right here. There we go. And I'm going to show you how it is to put together your butterflies. Now I've pre-assembled all my butterflies on the smaller ones, but I'll show you with the larger one because the process is the same. I like to use a small glue. This is from Karen Bernstein. It's her fine point. To put my glue on this, it's going to come out. And these are a 1-to-1 overlay, which means it goes from edge to edge. So having the wet glue is nice because you can put it on and slide it around so it's 1-on-1. Okay, so now I have all my butterflies. The butterflies actually go on the back side, which is the blue side. And I dry fit them first because there is a proper order for these butterflies to match in the right spots. As you can see, this one, yep, that goes there. Some of them are smaller than where they're supposed to go, and you can tell which butterfly goes where because of the way the points are. That one's a little bit small for that spot, so it must be this spot that it goes to. And this one fits there. Again, I will either use my zig to glue this down, or I use my fine tip. So it seems like this video's just come to an abrupt end, and actually it has. But it's kind of going around in circles now. I've showed you in this last section how to assemble the butterflies and put them on the platform. But the platform in this section of the video is not put together. So you can actually put the butterflies on before you fold, or you can put the butterflies on after you've folded and assemble it that way. So I hope this helps you in putting together this card. It's a butterfly garden, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you.